Okay, today we're going to talk about calculating payments. So far, we've always solved for F, the final amount of money or debt, after we make or withdraw payments P, or just leave a certain amount of money A in the bank to accrue a rate of interest N times a year for Y years. Remember, R is the APR divided by N. If you're getting your interest compounded 12 times a year, each one of those pay periods, you get 1/12 of your interest. Anyway, so we've always been figuring out the final amount. You put money in the bank, you let it roll around for 8 years, what's the final amount? You have money in the bank, you add more regularly, what will it end up being? Well, today we're going to start calculating payments, P, in one of two situations. Either you want to pay off a debt in a certain amount of time, or you want to save up for a certain amount of money in a certain amount of time. I like to go back to Mount Interest because I just love Mount Interest so much. Here is Mount Interest, and the difference, there's two formulas. See, basically there's two formulas. This is sort of your break-even point. That's called not having any money. Not having any money sounds like a bad thing. It's actually a whole lot better than being in debt. Here's the person in debt. Anyway, not very happy. But it could be worse. You could be much further down the hill. Owing huge amounts of money. The interest is so ridiculous. This is what happens when people buy too much house. This is what happens when people invest in for a business that fails. There's all sorts of very sad situations over there. Now, the question is, if you are paying off a debt, you are at some negative amount of money over here. You're at some negative amount of money, and you want to get to that point. And the formula on that, or you are at zero, and you want to know how much is it going to take to get you to a positive amount that I'm going to call F, a positive amount F. Well, the two formulas are, if you're in debt with an amount of A, and you're paying a regular rate of R interest N times a year, and you want to pay that debt off in Y years, then the payments are going to have to be R times A over 1 plus R to the negative YN minus 1. You might recognize this formula from when we were doing the calculator exercises. If you are at zero and you want to have a certain positive amount of money at the end of N year and at the end of Y years making payments N times a year, then your payment is going to have to be R times F over 1 plus R to the positive YN minus 1. Almost the exact same formula, a little mnemonic. There's two little hints to remind you of things. One, when you're in debt, that's sort of a negative situation. That's the one that has this little negative there as opposed to not. Second of all, I'm going to use the letter F here to mean you are saving up to a goal. You're saving up to a certain final amount of money that you want to have. As opposed to over here, you're starting with an amount of debt. In this left-hand formula, that A is always going to be a negative number. Why do we need different formulas? There was one time, oh my goodness, I thought you could use the same formula. Well, it doesn't. Because if you're trying to work your way out of debt, the interest is fighting you the whole way. You make a payment of $100, but 70 of those dollars goes to just paying off the interest. So really, you only pay off $30 of your interest, $30 of what you owe. It's kind of unfortunate. If you are saving up for an amount of money, then the interest is helping you. You make a little payment and you slide a little bit further because of interest. You make a payment, you slide a little bit with interest. So much better to be saving up money. So much better to have money than to owe money. But this is not always the case. We're now going to do a couple examples of both of these situations.